Recently, you started a few new projects and super fun. I got to be a part of a This Is video where it was tech who wants to be a millionaire type vibe. And you know, it's where you guess tech, but you guys have, sorry, let me specify, where you guess the name of tech and they blur the logos. They're so tricky with it. And then, you know, you have to guess what year it's from. And that was a super fun video for me to be a part of. I'll put it in the show notes below if you guys haven't checked it out yet. But why a second channel, Austin?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for being on. So I guess this sort of speaks to, oh God, I feel like I'm gonna get so like deep and philosophical today. So for a very, very long time, the main channel was all I cared about. That was all I was trying to build. And it certainly is still my main focus. It's still my main priority. It's still obviously where the money comes in for the most part. It's how everyone gets paid. It's sort of like, that's still the cornerstone of the business and of my personal sort of life as far as that's concerned. But sort of, I don't want to say, this is going to sound ridiculous. I don't want to say it was plateauing, because it's certainly not. The channel's actually growing faster now than it has pretty much ever. But there was a certain level of like, okay, you know what? I think I know what this thing looks like 10 years from now. Like, that was a question I didn't know about for a very long time. But I think for the main channel, it's really clear that the formula is set. There are always going to be tweaks and evolutions, but like, I can really clearly see 5 and 10 years from now what the Austin Evans channel looks like, right? And I think it's going to be, well, assuming that the bottom doesn't fall out or anything, I feel pretty confident it's going to be better and bigger and sort of more successful, but I don't think the fundamentals are going to change. Was our first sort of major project as a company to move past just working on the main channel. Honestly, it wasn't very successful for a while, right? So we started out with the idea we were going to make informational videos about like weird trivia and facts and stuff. Like, you know, think bite-sized 4 or 5 minute videos on like the world's fastest elevator or what have you. And I liked those videos. The problem was, from a financial standpoint, they were wildly unprofitable. We were starting with a new channel, which obviously had a much smaller audience.
Yeah, I'm sure it took a lot of research.
Oh, absolutely, right? Like, I mean, and the videos, even though they were short, we had tons of like animations and whatnot. Like, these videos would pretty much take 2 people working full-time a week to create one 4 or 5 minute video. And when those videos got 20 or 30,000 views, as someone who's running a business, that is burning giant piles of money, right? That was not sustainable. So we sort of played that out, but ultimately I think it was the wrong format. Obviously it was the wrong format, it didn't work, but like, I think in hindsight, it wasn't our strong suit, and it also wasn't what really was performing well on YouTube. There are very few channels that make short videos like that are actually interesting, and there also are several channels who already do it and do it better. So that was sort of a point where it was a bit of like a soul searching moment of like, look, we've got these people who are pretty much dedicated to this channel. We've got sort of all this money invested, and we were trying to build it out, and it really wasn't going anywhere. And that's sort of a humbling thing, right? Because I think as someone who has built sort of a big channel in the past, you kind of expect, oh, of course, I can make this work. I'm the expert. I'm the professional. But in reality, we all know very limited sort of things. We may have an idea of what will work, but obviously it's not guaranteed at all. So that was a moment where it was just like, okay, you know what? This isn't working. We need to retool, because obviously there's advantages in having a second channel. It was sort of, it wasn't super small or anything. It just wasn't obviously where we wanted it to be. So we actually experimented with a couple of other formats. We did this thing called This Is Now, which was sort of more of a newsy thing. And that actually did perform better, mostly because we weren't making 4-minute videos anymore. We were making like 10, 12-minute videos, which obviously was much better for the algorithm. But ultimately, at the beginning of this year, we properly relaunched This Is. So we have this new set that we built. So it's much more of a podcast talk show kind of thing. So think like Good Mythical Morning is one of our big inspirations, but just something that is more personal, more of like a true second channel to the main channel. So a lot of what we talk about is tech and whatnot. And one of the series that we've been working on specifically during the whole sort of pandemic has been the trivia show. And that was really born out of the idea of, this is a small set. I literally cannot sit with my co-host here and record because we're like 2 feet apart, right? So that was something that we're like, oh great, we've just spent all this money, we spent all this time developing these new formats in this new set, and we can't use it. So that was, the trivia show very much came from that idea of, okay, we got to get really creative now. We've rebooted this thing. We spent so much time and so much money on this. What are we going to do with it? And so ultimately the decision was made for a few different reasons to focus on the trivia show, mostly because it's really fun and the videos perform well. And it feels like it's a good sort of show for this time, because I really feel like people need sort of entertainment and just chill. And it's a great way to collab with, really talented people such as yourself, in that it's easy to say, hey, Sarah, can I borrow you for 30 minutes? Can you jump on Discord and record, a quick little video or something?